So going through the whole list of villainy and all that, you went through Paige, and maybe she used her powers to influence people not to listen to Emma's cause after Emma saved Rick, quote unquote. You also say the student body are villains because of the fact they decided to take Emma's cause for their own actions. You can blame Emma because, she protected Rick and gave Rick a reason to fight back. You also could blame Alex for the fact that she knows about domestic violence firsthand, but she used that knowledge to basically be a bully. You obviously could blame Radich because, as the administration head guy, basically you're supposed to try to solve the problem with the students and Rick, both sides of the coin. And also Spinner, because, Spinner put Jimmy in a wheelchair and all that, and he felt guilt and all that. But nothing compares to this guy. The guy with his tongue sticking out, you'll see as the visual. This guy basically is a bully on more than one front. And I just don't get it with this guy. This is the one about Jay. Jay Hogarth, unlike most characters in these videos, actually didn't take part in the first two seasons. He wasn't introduced till season 3, basically as somebody who convinced Sean to join the Candy Bandits, basically to have Sean's inner gangster, because Jay was impressed about Sean's deafening of a kid in Wasaga, which we finally see in season 4. But anyhow, Jay convinces Sean that basically, he shouldn't be tied down to Emma and all that. Emma, of course, is upset that Sean leaves her for a group of thugs, and basically Sean steals stuff to impress Jay and his crew and all that. Jay basically looked so old. It's like, guy's like 22 in high school and all that. He kept failing. He. So anyway, the problem is that, you know, things look bad. But anyway, Jay in season 4 wasn't much in the first few episodes and all that. He was with Alex and all that. And then basically he got put into the Rick Murray situation mostly via Alex because, he wants to get close to Alex. And since Alex is having issues with this Rick Murray thing because of domestic violence, Jay decides he needs to do something about it. So he's basically part of the group to basically try to destroy Rick once and for all. I guess he was being selfish too, but anyway, Jay and crew basically hurt Rick. At the end of things, by time stand still, it's down to 4. Jay, Spinner, Alex, and Jimmy. I accused Jay of putting Rick in a dumpster, but it wasn't Jay, it was Jimmy. So anyway, Jay basically is upset that his car got hit with the circle and X. Alex says it was Rick. Jay says, I gotta show this to Radich. Sean basically tells Jay, not realizing the scope of things, is that, then basically he's gonna want to know why Rick was retaliating. And Jay knew that he would have to incriminate himself. So basically Jay says, we gotta think of a plan and all that. So they're all gonna try to bully Rick. Worst part for Jay and his crew is that guess who's on his side? Jimmy. And Jimmy basically stands up for Rick. Jay's not too pleased about it. But during the Wacky Brain tiebreaker, Jay basically decides to go into the bathroom with Spinner. And then basically, by luck, they see Jimmy and Rick. Jimmy walks out, Rick starts to follow, but Jay talks to Rick and says that basically, how do you know everything? And all that. You know what? You're saving your school for Sparks. And are you doing the tiebreaker? Rick says, of course. Do the tiebreaker. You're saving us. We're cool now. I think now that you're proving that you belong at the school. Of course, that was all to make Rick, not see the paint and feathers coming. And despite Spinner's objections, Jay says that don't worry, that's what you get by dating the student council vice president. Alex is going to help us set up the prank. Nobody asks questions. The boys help Alex get the paint for the paint and feathers to get Rick once and for all. And Jay did a good job. He set up Rick, and Rick didn't see it coming. Rick gets laughed at, and basically, he's upset. So basically, Jay is okay with everything. And then we don't see Jay till part two of Time Stands Still, and when basically he's walking with Spinner, and Spinner says, Raditch knows. And then Jay says, about Jimmy? Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't figured it out sooner. And Spinner's like, what do you mean? Jay points at the sink, which is full of paint and feathers, and Rick in the stall. Why would Rick hide in the stall? It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, I'll talk about that when I get to him. So basically, he talks to Spinner, basically saying it's, Jimmy getting that question wrong, so that loser boy was in the tiebreaker and all that. Jimmy set the whole thing up with an inside man. Spinner plays along with it, unbeknownst to them, that basically, all that. So basically, that gets Rick to shoot Jimmy. And then after the aftermath, not the aftermath, but after the shooting, basically, Jay comforts Alex. Alex says she should never have been part of this role. And Jay says, you're alive, aren't you? And then they find Spinner. And Jay's surprised that Spinner wasn't targeted. Spinner basically says that we got Jimmy shot. I have to tell the cops. They're going to find out. You got to stay calm and shut it. Jay tells Spinner. He's my best friend, though. Either outcome, he was your best friend. But we may have killed Jimmy. We didn't do anything, Spinner. Basically, Jay is pushing Spinner to keep quiet and all that. Jay has no feelings and all that. He basically tells Alex, don't talk about anything that we've done if you're going to talk to people and all that. And then basically, Jay is not mentioned until Secret, when he basically pushes Emma into some oral favors and all that. The funny thing is, near the end of Secret Part 1, is that Jay basically brushes Emma off, and Emma basically thinks he's a coward. That's funny. You created a monster, Jay. Now you have to pay for it. Unfortunately, we soon learn that Jay has been given Amy and Alex gonorrhea. Basically, Alex is not too happy about Amy trying to steal her man. And then, of course, after the gonorrhea thing, Emma realizes, oh my God, I may have had it too. That's why Emma was not that. She was good at Dracula, but no one would kiss her. And basically, she got mad at Jay, saying, you gave me a social disease. And Jay says, I wanted to be with you because of your virtue. Right now, I don't feel so virtuous. I think Jay, in a sense, inadvertently got Emma to get help about her problems, because Emma realized that she's not fine and that being with Jay is just not her. So she basically decides that she needs to confide and basically confess that she may have been a terrible person towards everyone because of the shooting and all that. So anyway, Jay's on a lonely island. No girl wants to be with him. Then you got yourself Eye the Tiger. And Jay is upset that Spinner blabbed to Jimmy about his and Jay's role in getting Jimmy shot. Says, I called it. I knew you couldn't keep your mouth shut. Jimmy deserved to know. Yeah, well now how do you feel about being an outcast? Basically, Jay's pushing Spinner, saying that, laughing at him in a sense. But Jay gets his comeuppance as Spinner confesses everything and tells on Jay. Jay's expelled alongside Spinner. A few episodes later, they come back to the school to set the school on fire. Well, it was Spinner's idea because Spinner was pissed off that the school refused to help him out with getting graduation credits and all that. But once you're expelled, you're expelled. But Jay, for some reason, decides to save Spinner, saying that you want your friends back for everything? Burning down the school is not a good idea. So he saves Spinner from going bananas, kind of like what Jay does. I think Jay kind of felt sorry for Spinner, in a sense, mind you. So anyway, after season 4, Jay does not come back to Degrtassi for season 5. He was allowed to, but he basically said that the school needed a scapegoat. I guess he kind of figured that with Rick dead and with a few other pieces not being there and Radish not being there, is that basically they needed Spinner. And Jay basically was protecting Spinner, saying that basically Spinner was easily targeted and they knew that Spinner would crack. But Spinner told on his own accord and told on Jay. So Jay and Spinner have a falling out in a sense because Spinner is trying to be a good guy, and Jay's upset because Alex doesn't want to be with him, and basically, he's friendless. And he helps Sean on season 6 after Sean gets expelled thanks to Peter, and then in season 7 he dates Manny, and it's like, I guess he's trying a redemption song. I still hate the fucking guy. Pardon my French. Anyway, so is Jay Hogarth a villain? Is the sky blue? Are my eyes blue? Well, you don't know my eyes are blue, but yes, they are blue. Yes. Yes, 100 times yes. I put him at a 9.75 on the villainy scale. There's one person above him. You'll be shocked. But then again, I think you will probably not be shocked who the guy is. And that's my last video in this series. I mean, Jay Hogarth is a villain. No bones about it. Not just because, he had no remorse over Rick's death and all that, and basically had no remorse and didn't really care about Spinner's feelings or even Alex's feelings for that matter. But there's a lot of villainy to do with Jay Hogarth. Here's what I think are his big villainous points. Number 1, he was in the Rick Murray situation not because of personal experience. I mean, you got Spinner and Paige basically being part of the campaign because, they're the ones who found Terry comatose after Rick pushed her into the rock in season 3. Alex was in it because she knows about domestic violence firsthand. Jimmy was in it because he also had the problems with season 3 with Rick when he was dating Terry and all that. They were there because they actually knew about the Rick situation from the previous school year. Jay had no prior knowledge, had nothing to do with anything. Basically, he was there to basically be a bully, to embrace his inner bully, if you will. I mean, he knew that he could be the best person possible to try to destroy things. So yeah, that's just pathetic in a sense. When you look at things, it's just like, what's going on here? Truth be told, Jay is a villain, and he's probably there just to be a bad guy because they need someone with a bad guy persona to destroy Rick once and for all. But you also got to realize that maybe he's doing it for Alex because he had a boner for Alex, and basically her problems are his problems. He probably knew about the fact that Alex had to deal with the domestic violence thing firsthand, and basically he wanted to help her out. Noble, but basically he's doing it for his own selfish reasons, if you will. Basically, he's in it for Alex, and he wants to destroy Rick for Alex because that's the way he is. But I mean, honestly, I mean, he's also feeling this because he, like, had no remorse and had nothing but bad things about Rick and all that. He was upset. He's a villain because he's the one who basically got Rick's hopes up twice. It's like, I thought Rick was smarter than that. But, that's more towards talking about Rick in his show, like in his episode, which obviously is the last one in this series. But I mean, come on, you knew Jay was a villain and all that. He had no remorse. He basically pushed Spinner and Alex to keep quiet. That's the main thing. Is that Spinner and Alex had remorse. And Jay knew that if they said something, he probably would have been, pushed. He would have been pushed in with them. And basically, he didn't want to admit his guilt. He didn't want to, say, maybe I did something wrong. He knew that if he had anything, he knew that if he pushed Spinner and Alex, then he could get his own way. Basically realized that, it feeds his ego, that he's a hero, in a sense. He basically said we did the world a favor with Rick dying and all that. What an asshole. But in the end, he got his comeuppance. Spinner and Alex both decided that enough was enough and basically blamed Jay for things. Although Alex never said anything too, but she just ignored Jay. Well, Jay gave gonorrhea to Amy, so basically, I think she was ignoring him for that reason in the first place. But I mean, honestly, Jay's freaking ego cost him dearly. I mean, Spinner didn't want anything to do with Jay. Jay had to work hard to get his best friend back after the shooting and all that. Obviously, pushing Rick, like getting him to believe their bullshit twice and all that. Like, I think Jay basically wanted Spinner to believe about Jimmy. Because possibly, just like Spinner, they just didn't want Jimmy, they wanted Jimmy hurt because, he had the gall in their minds to basically switch sides and be on Rick's side. All that. I think Jay just wanted Jimmy to get hurt and all that. I don't think he anticipated Rick shooting Jimmy. Now they did Spinner. But I mean, like, they just wanted Jimmy hurt. And probably they were going to beat up on Jimmy too because, Jimmy switched sides. Who knows? Maybe with the Rick being around, that Jimmy would get a lot of pushing and prodding from the bullies and all that. Although it would have not worked out because Jimmy would have probably told on those guys and basically things would have been over. I mean, when I look at Jay, I just can't stand this guy. He looks too old to be in high school, of course. That's what everyone in the Reddit community says. I mean, he had a redemption song, fine, but I mean, it took a while, and people still can't trust him, like myself. So, what do you expect? I just hate the guy so freaking much. I was glad when he got his comeuppance and all that. That's what you get for trying to push your propaganda on people, especially Spinner and Alex. He is such a villain. I just can't stand Jay once and for all. That's the truth. Roof. So anyway, that's the end of this episode. There's one more to go. And you know who's going to be last and how in depth I'll have to be for this guy. Anyway, goodbye.